Hello Toy Collector fans, Universal Toy Collector here and welcome to the channel. And welcome to another episode of Figure Focus, the series where I get figures of characters from my own personal Star Wars collection within the 3 3/4 inch and 6 inch lines and give you my thoughts and opinions on those figures. Today's focus is Luke Skywalker. Okie dokie then, so just like the previous episode with Princess Leia, I will be viewing these figures in order of film and TV series appearances. So kicking us off, we have Luke Skywalker in his farm boy outfit, and he is represented in my collection by two Power of the Force versions in the 3 3/4 inch. I have 3 Black Series versions of him. One is open at the front, one is on a Star Wars 40th anniversary card back. The other is on the 50th Lucasfilm Star Wars The Power of the Force card back. I have a retro carded version of Luke Skywalker with his blonde hair. And then in front of that, I have 2 vintage original Kenner Luke Skywalkers. One with mousy brown hair, the other with blonde hair. Now, again, I never had these as a kid, or this figure as a kid, because like I said in the previous video, when I was into playing with Star Wars, it was predominantly Return of the Jedi figures that were in the stores at that particular time. So to find a Luke Skywalker in his farm boy outfit was a pretty hard thing back then. So that is why I am over the moon that I've got him on a retro card back. I'm not going to go too much into the retro cards. I've expressed my feelings with those before, but I'm happy to have a resemblance of a figure that was from the 70s in my collection. So I'm really happy with that. What I will say, however, is that he is desperately needed in TVC, along with Princess Leia, Han Solo, and Ben Kenobi. We need Luke as a new sculpt. And like I said in the previous video, I feel that we will be getting those 4 figures, but not until the 50th anniversary of Star Wars, which is 4 years away. I said then, I'm hoping that's not the case. So far, nothing has changed my mind as to how I feel about that. I could be wrong. I'm hoping I'm wrong. And there's probably people out there that are in a more better position to know these things than I am. But that's just how I see it and how I feel that will unfold itself with those 4 figures coming out for the 50th anniversary of Star Wars. Anyhow, enough of that. Then, after a 10-year absence of Star Wars figures in the shops, we then turned to Star Wars The Power of the Force. And like everybody, I was fairly excited that we were going to be getting more Star Wars. And then this monstrosity turned up. I mean, crikey, he had certainly been working out within those 10 years of being away from the shops. I've got to say, as much as we mock these figures, I'm glad I've got them on card back. I've got 2 variants there. One was kindly gifted to me by BOE, Blacked Out Ewok. So once again, thank you for that. That is the Italian version. So yeah, pretty cool. I'm not going to get these figures loose. I'm quite happy with these on the card back. I'm not going to be collecting too many more of these. I think I've got all the ones I need, which were the 12 modern day versions at that time from the Power of the Force. That were the original 12 in the original vintage Kenner line, if that makes sense. So yeah, I mean, yeah, he doesn't look like him, does he? I mean, the lightsaber's okay, but I don't know why he's got that stupid grappling gun hook thing. He could have come with a blaster. I think that would have been a bit better. But, for me, I don't mind him now. Like I say, I mock him on a few occasions, but I'm fairly happy that I've got him in my collection. Anyhow, let's turn to the Black Series versions now. So it was back in 2017 when I first saw the Luke Skywalker on this Star Wars card back in Toys R Us. I didn't even realise they did a line called Black Series Walked in there, saw this figure along with a few of the others from the 40th anniversary, and I was just, like I said, blown away. Took me back to that nostalgia feel of seeing these card backs back in the 80s in the stores. So I just got them, and yeah, fairly happy with those. They do look pretty cool. I've got to say the facial sculpt isn't that brilliant, and it could be better, but I guess at the time it wasn't too bad. But then fast forward, I think it was last year, it was the 50th anniversary of Lucasfilm. We ended up getting another version of Luke Skywalker in his farm boy outfit. This time he had the photoreal face, but I think the face sculpt is exactly the same. So again, it's not an absolute fantastic likeness of Mark Hamill. But what I like about the 50th anniversary card back is that it's representing or resembling the Power of the Force card back here from the 3 3/4 line. I think that's a real nice touch. For me, Star Wars card backs are the ones like this. That is your typical Star Wars card. That is a Star Wars card back for me. Anything else, I'm not really too fussed about. But I do like what they've done with that 50th anniversary Lucasfilm card back there. So yeah, pretty cool. Anyhow, that's Luke Farmboy. Let's crack on and let's get his next costume up, shall we? So then, the next version of Luke we have is him in his Stormtrooper disguise outfit. And this is represented in my collection by VC169 from the Vintage Collection. I have 2 of those, as you can see, one on card back and one loose. And the other version is from the original Kenner line. Although this isn't an original Kenner version, this is a Stan Solo version figure. And in my eyes, that is absolutely fine. No difference at all in my opinion from me getting a Stan Solo Repro figure and getting a Hasbro retro carded figure. They are both the same thing, albeit one is a mainstream corporate company that earns millions and millions of dollars a year. The other is a guy who's just doing some great work and charging reasonable prices. So hats off to you, Stan Solo. I think you do a fantastic job. He looks absolutely awesome. I'm loving it. He's clean, he's complete, whereas I could be spending over £100 or more on just a figure without his gun and without his helmet. And even if I did get him with his weapon, who knows if it's a genuine weapon or not. That's the risk you take when you buy second hand. At least I know what I'm getting when I get it from Stan Solo. And like I said before, no difference from me getting a Stan Solo version Star Wars figure and a Hasbro retro collection figure. So yeah, anyhow, loving these. I think this one looks great, especially in the TVC version. The face sculpt is a lot better, and I think he looks really cool. Yeah, not really too much more to say about that figure apart from good job Stan Solo and well done Hasbro. The card back is looking fantastic. I do like the card back, and a pretty clear, vibrant picture of Mark Hamill as Luke in his Stormtrooper outfit there. And like I say, the figure does look pretty cool. Anyhow, enough of that. Let's crack on with the next version of Luke. Okay then, so next up we have Luke Skywalker in his X-Wing pilot, and this is represented in my collection by the TVC figure, the Black Series figure, and the original vintage Kenner figure. We'll start with the original vintage Kenner figure. This was one of my first figures I got as a kid, and it was one Christmas I remember opening him and an X-Wing fighter, and I was just absolutely blown away by it. Now, I've said previously before that I got the figure and the vehicle before I'd actually seen Star Wars. Star Wars was released in 1977. I was too young to see it, so I first saw it in the early 80s on TV. And after I'd got the vehicle, I managed to get to see the film over Christmas, and again, just absolutely blown away by it. And it gave me so much more respect for the vehicle and the figure, and I just, loved it, absolutely loved it. So when I see the TVC version, which is VC158, it just throws me back to my childhood with that car back. Such an iconic look for Luke Skywalker. And I've got to say, the figure, I'm absolutely loving the figure. Could it do with an update? I guess the only thing is it's really difficult for him to sit in the X-Wing. That's why I don't have him in the X-Wing now. I have him standing on display. It is difficult to get him into the X-Wing. The straps around his legs, they get quite tight, and there's not much room for movement there, so it kind of restricts the movement of the legs. But standing and displaying him, he looks absolutely awesome. And the head sculpt, really liking the head sculpt. So we move on to the Black Series version. So the one on the card back is the 2016 Orlando Celebration exclusive figure. It's got a fully look to the card. I paid a fair price for this figure. That is why I've kept him on card back. Again, an absolute awesome card, an awesome figure. And in front is the standard version of Luke Skywalker in his X-Wing. I wasn't going to buy two on the card back and then open one up, not at that price, so I got him standard. But yeah, the face sculpt looks a lot better than the previous version of Luke in his farm boy outfit. So yeah, really happy with this. I've got to say, this figure is possibly one of my favourite Luke figures. Just the overall look, the X-Wing outfit and stuff like that. It looks so cool. Really happy to have this in my collection. Anyhow, enough of this one. Let's crack on with the next version of Luke. Okay then, so the last time we see Luke in Star Wars is in his ceremonial outfit, and this is represented in my collection by the Black Series, and I've got to say, I really do like this figure. I think I like the costume, the facial sculpt looks pretty cool, and yeah, I can't say too much about it really, apart from the open one is from the standard line in the Black Series, the one with the red and black boxes. And this one here is a deluxe set. The figure comes with lightsaber, blaster. I'm not too sure what these are. A couple of books. I think I've not had it open. His helmet with his blast shield there, a blast effect, and the training ball from the lightsaber training. So yeah, and here's the front of the box. So that looks pretty cool. Liking the artwork there. I thought I had this figure in TVC. Apparently not, otherwise he'd be in front of you. But yeah, overall a really decent looking figure. And again, really happy that I've got him in my collection. Anyhow, that is it for Luke Skywalker from the movie Star Wars A New Hope. Let's crack on and see what it's all about in The Empire Strikes Back. 2 seconds. Okay then, so the first look of Luke Skywalker in Empire Strikes Back is in his Hoth gear, and this is represented in my collection by the Vintage Collection, which is VC95. Also have him in the Black Series 6-inch version on the 50th Lucasfilm Archive card back, and also from the original Vintage Kenner line, and that is where we will start. Here's one of the figures that I had as Luke as a kid. Yeah, quite glad I had him. In the UK, we didn't really have too much snow in the area that I lived in, so I couldn't get outside to play with him in the snow. So when it did snow, I'd make sure I'd get out there and have all sorts of battles and stuff like that, and try and recreate the Hoth battle. All good times and all good fun. Other than that, yeah, not a bad looking figure. This one's fairly decent looking. He's stood up quite well. So yeah, happy with that. But then saying that, how can you not be happy with an original vintage Kenner Star Wars figure? So I'm happy with all of them. So we'll leave it at that. Let's move on to VC95. This is a re-release. So I didn't get this from 1.0. This was a re-release version. Yeah, fairly decent looking figure. Is he my favourite Luke? Not really, no. I don't know why. It's just I don't know, you've got the swappable head and stuff like that. So I don't know whether I like that or not. I think there's some slight differences between the 1.0 version and this version. I don't have the 1.0 version to hand, so I couldn't tell you what the differences are there. But yeah, I mean, he displays well. That's all that matters. So yeah, that's the Vintage Collection Luke Skywalker. And then on to the 50th Lucasfilm Anniversary Archive. Now, this one, I have to say, I do really, really like the look of. The facial sculpt isn't too bad. I know there was some issues with some of the facial sculpts on this particular Luke. Mine isn't too bad, so I'm lucky there. So overall, the figure I think is fairly decent, but I really do not like that Archive card back. It is really bland, isn't it? It's not the best card back in the world. But because it's part of the 50th Lucasfilm Anniversary, I've decided to keep him on the card back, and possibility that I could get him again later on, add him to the collection, open him up, and have him displayed loose at some point. But yeah, overall, not a bad figure for the Black Series. I do quite like it. Yeah, like not really too much else I can say, to be honest. It would be good though if we did get this figure in the retro carded collection for The Empire Strikes Back. So that would be nice if we managed to get Luke in the retro carded in his Hoth gear. Anyhow, let's crack on and see what else we got. So we next see Luke in his Snowspeeder outfit, and I've got to say, pretty much like the X-Wing, I'm really, really digging this figure. He's represented by the 6-inch Black Series and also the Star Wars Retro Collection figure there. So we'll get onto the Retro Collection figure. It's fairly similar to the original Luke in X-Wing, apart from he's got his yellow visor on his helmet down. And I've got to say, these are the figures that we wouldn't mind getting in the Retro Collection. Figures that haven't been done before from the original Kenner line. We've had Moff Tarkin, which I think he looks really cool. The car back's great. And now we've got Luke Skywalker from his Snowspeeder outfit. Yeah, this you know, the original trilogy figures and figures that we never had from the original Kenner line are the figures that I would like to see more of in the Retro Collection line. None of this Book of Boba Fett or Obi-Wan or Ahsoka series figures. Now, I know the Retro Collection's for everybody and it can cover a multitude of Star Wars films and TV series. I get that. These are just my thoughts and opinions, and my preference would be to keep it to the original trilogy and have figures that we've not had before within the original Kenner line. Anyhow, let's move on to the Black Series version. This is the 6-inch Black Series 40th Empire Strikes Back anniversary card back. So yeah, I'm loving these anniversary card backs. I just think they look fantastic. That is such a great looking picture of Mark Hamill's Luke Skywalker there. It's the same on both cards. So yeah, really, really cool. Really liking that. And the loose one is the one that I've got with my 40th anniversary Snowspeeder. He was from the standard Black Series line with the boxes with the windows and the artwork down the side. So yeah, again, I really do like this figure. There are some subtle differences between him in the Snowspeeder outfit and in the X-Wing outfit, but pretty much like the X-Wing outfit, I really do like this figure. I think he looks absolutely tremendous in both versions. So yeah, again, another awesome addition to the collection. Really, really happy with that. Right, enough of Luke in his Snowspeeder outfit. Let's see what we've got next. 2 seconds. Okay then, so next up we have Luke Skywalker in his Dagobah outfit. And this is represented in my collection by the Black Series. And as you can see, it's on the 40th Empire Strikes Back anniversary card. And what a fantastic card back that is. I am absolutely loving that. What a great picture. Empire Strikes Back, for me, the best film in the entire series. Storyline, music, filming, acting, everything, just top notch. And that is how you make a decent Star Wars movie. Absolutely incredible. And just think, that film was made back in the day when it was practical special effects. You hardly had any CGI as opposed to what you have now. So yeah, really, really great film and an enjoyable film. But figure wise, yeah, I'm happy with this figure. There is a likeness to Mark Hamill there. You can see it in some angles more than others, but overall a really decent figure. I also have this figure in a 2-pack with Yoda in the standard Black Series black and red box. I'm not too sure where that is at the moment, otherwise I would have had it here in front of you. But basically it's just the same figure as what's in front of you now. But yeah, can't really say too much more about this other than it's Luke Skywalker in his Dagobah outfit. And with that, we shall crack on. So then, straight from the swamps of Dagobah to the clouds in Bespin. And yeah, Luke Skywalker in his Bespin fatigue. And he is represented in my collection by the TVC version, which is VC04. The Black Series version, the retro carded collection, and the vintage original Kenner versions, to which I have 2 of, one with the mousy brown hair, the other one with the blonde hair. Another figure that I never had as a kid, a friend of mine had him, and I was always fairly jealous of the fact that he had him because I thought he was a decent looking figure. And to this day, I still think this figure holds up. He looks cool. I'm liking the outfit. And yeah, awesome figure. And again, with the retro carded version, based on the blonde hair version of Luke, it would have been nice to have had the retro version of Luke in Bespin with the variant card back, as opposed to him walking down the corridor. It would have been nice to have had him peering around the corner, which I know Only-One Kenobi is a big fan of, and I agree with him that there should be more card variations within the modern day Star Wars figure lines, absolutely for sure. Moving on to VCO4. This is a re-release version, so unfortunately I didn't get the 1.0 version. Maybe at some point I wouldn't mind going back to the very beginning and getting VCO 1, 2, 3, 4. Albeit I do have VCO 1, which is Dengar. I'm absolutely loving that card back. Spent a pretty penny on him as well. But maybe one day I'll get the version of Luke, 1.0 version of Luke. But as a figure, yeah, I'm liking this. I think he's fairly decent. It's the best version of Luke in Bespin that we have to date in the 3 3/4 inch line for sure. So yeah, happy with that. And then moving on to the Black Series version. Again, it's part of the 40th Empire anniversary wave. And again, you've got that iconic look and iconic card back for Luke. I have to say though, with this, the face sculpt, I don't know. I'm not too happy with this kind of face sculpt on this figure. Yeah, I don't know. It just doesn't look like Mark Hamill from quite a few angles. But yeah, it's 40th anniversary. It's the vintage style card back, and that's where it gets me. The nostalgia gets me, and yeah, because I never had this figure or card back as a kid. It's something that I feel that I have to have in my collection because I didn't have it as a kid. So I'm glad I've got them anyway. The face sculpt could be better, but overall I'm happy that I've got these figures in my collection. Righty ho, let's move on, shall we? Okay, so moving on then to the first look of Luke Skywalker in the film Return of the Jedi, and that is him in his Jedi Knight outfit, and it's represented in my collection by the Star Wars Vintage Kenner version and the 3 3/4 inch Black Series version. And as you can see, this version is very underrepresented in my collection. I do not have a Black Series version, I do not have a carded TVC version, and I have absolutely no idea why. I do, however, have a retro carded version, but I've not even opened the mailing box that it's coming yet, so that's still waiting to be opened, so I haven't got round to doing that yet. But yeah, other than that, as a kid, I had this figure, and yeah, awesome figure. I like the look of the figure. I like the soft goods, the green lightsaber. I love that, and I just thought it was such a cool look for Luke Skywalker in Return of the Jedi. And then moving on to the Black Series version, this was in the small red and black boxes that they did prior to the vintage collection. He is definitely a figure that I would like to get in the vintage collection. I know you've got the version of him in the Endor Capture version and the Jedi Knight version. I don't mind either one of those. I'll probably get both. But yeah, he looks good on display. I'm liking the articulation. And that's all I've got to say about this figure, really. I wish I could say more, but these are the only two figures that I have that I can talk about. So anyhow, let's move on. So moving on to Luke Skywalker in his Endor fatigues, and this is represented in my collection by the 6-inch Black Series version and the TVC version, which is VC198. And the card is part of the 50th Lucasfilm anniversary. So a cool looking card back. The first time I've ever had a card back of Luke Skywalker in this Endor outfit. I never had the original version as a kid, one of the last 17. To this day, I still don't have that figure. But overall, I'm happy with the figure. I would have preferred it if he had the ball jointed legs, so you could get him on a speeder bike. I mean, this came out, was it last year? So they must have known that the speeder bike would have been on its way, so they would have updated the leg joints. So you could have fitted him on a speeder bike. And it's pretty much the same with Princess Leia as well. You know, they knew it was going to be coming out this year, surely, the speeder bike. You thought that they would have updated the versions of both Luke and Leia on Endor so that you could have the ball jointed legs so they could have sat on the speeder bike. That would look pretty cool. They didn't do that, however, which is a slight disappointment. But overall, it's a fairly decent looking figure. Moving on to the Luke in the Black Series. This is the standard version. I do have the 40th anniversary version of Luke on the 40th anniversary card coming soon. But yeah, this is awesome. I quite like the face sculpt. I like the figure. He also came in a deluxe pack with Han Solo, Princess Leia, Paploo, and a speeder bike, which I came close to getting on a couple of occasions, but I didn't pull the trigger. But yeah, I mean, I'm loving the greens. I love the poncho. Overall, a decent looking figure for both. Like I said, it was a shame that they didn't do the ball joints in the legs for Luke and Leia, so they could get on the speeder bike. Anyhow, I've got 3 figures left. Let's take a quick look at those, shall we? Okay then, so next up we have Luke Skywalker in his appearance on The Mandalorian, and this is represented in my collection by TVC, and this is VC264, and the car back is Luke Skywalker Imperial Light Cruiser. This, I guess, is fairly similar to Luke Jedi Knight, but for me it's not. I really want a Luke Jedi Knight on in the TVC, but I've got to say, this is a pretty close second. Yeah, a great looking figure, and wow, what an episode that was, seeing Luke, turn up on that light cruiser and just do what he did. And that's the Luke Skywalker that we wanted to see after the debacle of the Luke Skywalker in the sequels, which I will unfortunately get to in a minute. But yeah, absolutely awesome. I loved watching that. I thought it was an absolute fantastic end to what was a fantastic series. But I just wish they'd have left it at that. I really do. I don't think you need to see any more of Luke. We got what we wanted with respects of seeing him in his heyday, in his pomp, using the power and taking out those dark troopers. That was enough for me personally. I didn't need to see him in the Book of Boba Fett. I don't need to see Luke Skywalker anymore. For me, that was enough. Don't rinse it, Disney, for the love of God. But yeah, a great figure, a great card back. Yeah, that's all I've got to say on this. So let's move on. Okay then, so these are the last 2 figures of Luke Skywalker that I have in my own personal collection. They're from The Force Awakens and from The Last Jedi. To the left, we have Luke in his appearance, or fleeting appearance, should I say, in The Force Awakens and the early stages of The Last Jedi. And then we have Luke from Act 2 from The Last Jedi. Both 5 point of articulation figures. What else can I say about them? Not a lot, really. Not a lot. Obviously, I don't have any other versions of Luke like this from Black Series or the Vintage Collection. Will I get them? Probably not, no. If I was a completist, then yes, I would do. Thank God I'm not. Look, the figures, I guess, aren't too bad. It's Luke Skywalker. So when you're a kid, you have an imagination. With these figures, you can make Luke however you want him to be. Unfortunately, what they did with him in the films, the sequels in particular, was unforgivable. Absolutely horrendous. What they did there. Yeah. I don't want to go too much into it. I've been accused of being a Disney Star Wars hater by certain people. Not really the case, is it? I mean, they're saying that I hate everything Disney. Well, I like Rebels. I like The Mandalorian. I like stuff. I just didn't like the films. That's my opinion. But we're not going to get too dragged into that. We're talking about the figures here. Yes, I'm kind of glad that I do have the figures because it's Luke and everybody wants a Luke figure in their collection. It's just a shame with the road they went down with this particular character, Luke. He was a great character, in the original trilogy, and I'm getting drawn into it, aren't I? So I'm going to stop there. I'm going to end the video because I don't want to get into the sequels too much. B, I don't want to upset people because my opinion's different to theirs, so I'll knock that on the head right now. And all I've got left to say is, if you are new to the channel, feel free to comment, like and subscribe. Hit that notification bell to let you know of more content. And as always, there will be more content. I really appreciate your support. Thank you so much for watching. Take care, stay safe, and we shall see you in the next video. Bye for now.